The first dashboard you'll find in your synthetic menu is the site dashboard. This dashboard is intended to give you an overview of some common performance metrics that we think you should know about, and to understand how URLs within a site are comparing to one another, as you can see here in this first chart. At a glance, you can quickly see, for the build URL that we're measuring within the Tesla site, how does this compare to the other URLs that we're measuring, such as home, manage, and the model page. This lets you quickly identify any areas where you might have some low-hanging fruit that you would want to jump into and take a look at across 4 different key metrics that we're tracking here. We start off the metrics we're looking at by focusing on the user experience, which we feel is the most important thing to focus on. We look at start render, largest contentful paint, last painted hero, and visually complete, and show you thumbnails of exactly where that's occurring as the site is rendered to the end user. We also track those metrics over time, as you can see in the time series chart here. We track Google's core web vitals, largest contentful paint, cumulative layout shift, and total blocking time, as well as lighthouse scores, focusing not on the score itself and getting that score to 100, but really understanding how that score trends over time as you're making improvements to your site. Getting a look at front end versus back end is really important for understanding where your time is being spent. Is it on the client or is it on the server? Here we break that down by back end, page load time, and fully loaded. We look at interactivity by measuring first CPU idle and time to interactive, which roughly tend to be about the same number. This lets you focus on when the page is actually responsive enough for the user to interact with it and avoid jank while they're scrolling or interacting with the page. The CPU times we're tracking are broken down, as you can see here, across scripting, layout, painting, loading, and other. We focus on some different page construction metrics as well, looking at, if you have them, critical blocking requests, like CSS style sheets or JavaScript that might be render blocking, and we track those number of requests over time. We also look at content requests, the requests that are coming across the wire, as well as the relative size for that content. So you can see as you're making changes to your application, are you breaking any performance budgets or areas where you want to focus on keeping the page weight smaller. For any of these metrics, to drill in and understand a little bit more, you can click on any data point on the time series. From here, you'll see that you can drill in by viewing the actual test results themselves, comparing that test to another test, bookmarking that test for later, or adding a note if you want to annotate something within that timeline. We'll dig into all of those later. That's the site dashboard.